Nobody has done that but him in NBA history. I mean, it's spectacular to see. There's no doubt about it.
That LeBron James is only about LeBron James. For him to want and to wear a patch, nobody else wants to wear it. Nobody else is going to wear it.
When Stephen A. Smith appears genuinely puzzled, almost shocked, during a live broadcast, it's usually a sign that something more significant is happening than the typical sports debate. This situation feels different. What initially seems like a minor issue has started to spark a much larger discussion behind the scenes. And at the center of it all is LeBron James and a jersey patch controversy that has grown into something far bigger than anyone expected.
LeBron James is going to be wearing a patch on his jersey that is honoring LeBron James.
Let's be honest, jersey patches are nothing new. Every NBA team wears them. Corporate sponsors, brand partnerships, and advertising have become standard parts of the league's business model. Most fans may not be thrilled about it, but they've largely accepted it as the new normal. However, when LeBron James becomes connected to a situation like this, the conversation immediately shifts. It stops being a simple discussion about sponsorships and branding. Instead, people begin talking about influence. They begin talking about power. They begin questioning whether the boundary between basketball and business has become almost impossible to separate. And here's what many people are overlooking. The controversy didn't gain momentum because of the patch itself. The real reason it exploded is because LeBron's name is attached to it. As a result, more people are starting to wonder just how much of the NBA landscape revolves around him. Not only because of his performance on the court or the legacy he has built, but because of his unique ability to influence narratives, shape public perception, and sometimes steer the direction of the conversation before it even truly begins.
Nobody else is going to wear it. And the NBA historically has not a single time, outside of death, had a patch on a single guy's uniform honoring just that guy. No sport in the history of our country has ever allowed a single player while still playing to wear a patch that honors him and nobody else.
To understand why this became such a talking point, you have to look at Stephen A's reaction, because that's where the discussion truly began. He wasn't delivering one of his usual fiery criticisms. He wasn't frustrated or outraged either. What stood out was that he seemed genuinely caught off guard. And when someone who has spent decades covering the NBA reacts with that level of surprise, it says a lot. It suggests that even among media insiders, there are times when LeBron's reach and influence appear larger than expected. At the heart of Stephen A's argument was a straightforward question. How did the spotlight drift so far from the actual game? At what point did jersey patches, sponsorship choices, and image management become topics that generate as much discussion as the basketball being played on the court? That's the issue fueling the debate. For many observers, this is no longer just about a logo or a branding decision. It's about whether the NBA's biggest storylines are increasingly being driven by off-court narratives rather than the action that takes place between the lines.
It is now run by LeBron James, apparently said, "Yes, sir, no problem, sir." And in LeBron's next game, he's going to be wearing a patch that says all-time leader made field goals.
This is where the situation becomes complicated. Once the discussion surrounding a player starts focusing more on everything around the game rather than what happens on the court, public perception begins to change. And in LeBron's case, many believe that transition has been unfolding gradually for years. It's worth revisiting the issue of optics because they often carry more influence than people realize. A jersey is meant to symbolize the team, the city it represents, and the franchise's overall identity. It's supposed to be bigger than any one individual. However, when certain branding decisions appear closely connected to a particular player or are perceived that way by fans, it can create an uncomfortable dynamic. It raises questions about where the team's identity ends and the player's influence begins. That perception is what fuels the controversy. Whether intentional or not, it can give the impression that the spotlight is shifting away from the franchise itself and toward a single figure. And when that happens, some fans begin to feel that the organization's identity is being overshadowed by the personality and brand of its biggest star.
I'm not that concerned. I know it's the first time he's going to miss the season opener.
There's another angle to this that rarely gets discussed. Fans don't only support individual stars. they build emotional connections with teams. And when the spotlight begins to favor one player more than the franchise itself, that bond can start to fade. The effects may not be obvious right away, but over time, it can reshape the way people experience and connect with the sport. To be fair, though, this isn't something LeBron invented. What he did was learn how to navigate and maximize the business side of the NBA better than almost anyone before him. That's an important distinction. The league was already moving toward a future driven by global marketing, corporate partnerships, and expanded media influence. That evolution was happening regardless. LeBron simply recognized where the industry was headed and positioned himself at the center of it more effectively than his peers. But that's where the debate becomes more complicated. Being exceptionally skilled at leveraging a system doesn't automatically mean the outcome is best for the sport as a whole. And that's the question gaining traction now. Has the growing focus on branding, image management, and business influence enhanced the NBA's popularity? Or has it gradually shifted attention away from what made fans fall in love with the game in the first place? As more people begin asking that question, the conversation extends far beyond a single jersey patch and becomes a much broader discussion about the direction of modern basketball.
I mean, LeBron James has been that dude in terms of his physical conditioning, but I'm not really worried about it for a different reason.
This is where many young players can misread the formula. They look at LeBron's success and assume the brand came first. They believe that building visibility, influence, and marketability will naturally lead to success on the court. But what often gets overlooked is that LeBron's brand was built upon years of elite-level performance. The basketball foundation came first, and everything else grew from it. The concern some people have today is that the order may be reversing. Instead of performance driving the brand, there is a growing perception that branding is becoming the priority before the results are fully established. Stepping back, though, this discussion extends beyond LeBron alone. It's really part of a larger conversation about the direction of the NBA itself. The league is going through a period of change, with different stars representing very different approaches to success. You have players like Nikola Jokic, whose reputation is built almost entirely on his dominance between the lines, with little interest in shaping public narratives. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who continues to place performance, competition, and team achievements at the center of his image. And then there are younger stars such as Anthony Edwards, whose popularity often comes from their natural personality and authenticity rather than carefully planned messaging. That contrast is becoming increasingly noticeable. On one side are players who allow their performances to define the conversation. On the other is a modern approach where image, branding, and public perception are more carefully managed and strategically presented. As a result, fans are beginning to form stronger opinions about which model they prefer. And that's why this jersey patch debate has grown beyond a simple discussion about sponsorships or branding. For many observers, it has become a symbol of a larger divide within the league. It's a reflection of competing visions for what the NBA should represent moving forward and how the next generation of stars will choose to build their legacy.
Everybody know MJ's my GOAT, but this is the greatest case that LeBron James has made for GOAT status.
The real issue isn't the jersey patch itself, it's what it represents. For many fans and analysts, including Stephen A. Smith, the controversy highlights a growing concern that the NBA's focus is shifting away from basketball and toward branding, image management, and narrative control. LeBron James has built one of the greatest careers in NBA history, not only through his accomplishments on the court, but also through his ability to manage his brand and influence the conversation around the league. For years, that was viewed as a strength. However, some now wonder whether that influence has become too powerful, creating the perception that off-court narratives are receiving as much attention as the game itself. The concern extends beyond LeBron. Young players are watching and may believe that building a brand is just as important as elite performance. But LeBron's success was built on excellence first, with branding coming afterward. If future players reverse that formula, it could change the culture of the league. Stephen Yes's reaction reflected a broader feeling shared by many fans, that the NBA may need to refocus on competition and authenticity. The league benefits from star power, but it must also ensure that no individual narrative overshadows the sport itself. Ultimately, this debate is about balance. The NBA can thrive on both storytelling and competition, but when branding begins to outweigh basketball, fans start asking difficult questions. That's why this controversy is about more than a patch on a jersey. It's about the future identity of the league and what kind of legacy today's stars will leave behind.